Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Brethren channel. This is another episode of Real Talk. Here with my brother Peter.
What's up guys?
We've got a very special guest. You can see we're in a different setup. But it's good for a change. And besides that, this is the Brethren channel and this is another episode of Real Talk. Alrighty guys, so I'm here with brother Peter. We have a special guest here with us. Me personally, I've known this guest for a long time, through my teenage years to my adult years, and it's been a mentor to not only me but probably my siblings as well. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest, Jordan Maua.
Yo. Thank you, boys. Thank you. Sure, boys. It's an honor to be here, part of this podcast with you, boys. Thank you for reaching out.
Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Invitation.
Thank you for accepting the call, I guess.
All good. Appreciate you, boys.
So I guess we should kick it off.
Yeah.
Just a bit about yourself. I call you Maua, but it's Jordan Maua. Is that your full name?
Yeah. So my full name, Jordan, middle name Trey, last name Maua Lachlan. Yeah, Maua Lachlan. So I got a hyphenated name. Maua from my stepfather, and then Lachlan from my biological father. Yeah.
So just your background, like a bit about yourself. Because you have a Maua, that sounds like an islander name.
Yeah.
But would you like to a bit about your ethnicity and your background?
Yeah, sure. So my background is I'm actually Scottish Pakistan. So that's my background. It's funnily enough, I actually did one of those DNA tests, and it actually came back on part Swedish as well, boys. Yeah, less than 1%. So, but Scottish and Pakistan are my main ethnicities, but obviously Maua, it's a Samoan last name from my stepfather. So I've been brought up from my stepfather since birth, and so I've just taken on his last name. And so I guess you could say my culture is Samoan, but my ethnicity is Australian Scottish. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Pakistan Scottish. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, right. Is that Conor McGregor? Oh, no, that's Irish.
That's
Irish. Oh, my bad. No, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, you adopted into Samoan, you said Samoan family, right?
Yeah. So obviously my mum and my stepfather, they started dating when I was young, when I was a baby, and just grew up in the Samoan culture ever since then, really. Yeah, so brought up into it, pretty much raised in all of that. Yeah.
You're pretty much Islander.
Oh, 100%, man. 100%.
Whereabouts did you grow up? Like in Sydney, or was it like somewhere overseas?
Yeah, so I started off in Hornsby. So I was actually born at the Sand in Warringah. Brought up in Hornsby till I was at the end of year 6. And then from there, we moved up to Newcastle, moved up to Toronto. There's an area in Toronto. It's a little bit past Morisset, a little bit past Koombong.
I thought it was America. I was like, hey, Toronto. Okay. It's Australia.
But so brought up there, moved up there, and then did year 7 to end of university there, up at Avondale, and then moved down to Macquarie Fields when I graduated university and started teaching, and that's where I got to know Pastor Chris here.
Nice. That's MacArthur, right?
Yeah, MacArthur Adventist. Yeah, so started teaching there, man, until today. Yeah.
So so you're doing teaching now. Was it always something that you wanted to do growing up, or?
Yeah, no. I never wanted to be a teacher, man. Never wanted to be a teacher. I actually was really loved cooking, and so I was actually working my way up to become a chef when I was younger. So at Avondale, I was blessed enough to go there. They've got a hospitality program there, and it's amazing. So you know how in year 10 you do work experience? Yeah, so we did work experience in year 10, and I went and did work experience at a leagues club, and I just worked there as a cook there. And then the hospitality program then allowed me to do work experience in year 11 and then in year 12 as well. So I did work experience, another leagues club up in Newcastle, and then I did it in year 12 at a restaurant. It was actually Australia's #1 seafood restaurant. It was called Scratchley's on the Wharf in Newcastle. And so I worked there, and I was really pushing to try and get an apprenticeship there because I wanted to be a chef, and I actually got the apprenticeship. So I was ready to go with it all, and was real buzzing on it. And then about 2 weeks before the HSC, I actually got a phone call from the head chef, and he said to me that they had actually pulled the apprenticeship from me. So they took it away from me. Well, it was actually kind of interesting at the time too for that, because obviously if I was going to become a chef, I had to work Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And so when I found that out, I was actually really battling with it, obviously from a 7-day Adventist background and whatnot. And so then I got that pulled from me, and I spoke with my mum and dad, heartbroken and everything. I was like, man, I've literally teed myself up. I didn't get an ATAR from school because I was like, chef, that's my journey. And so they just said to me, they go, you've always been really good with kids at Sabbath school and everything like that. And so they said, try teaching. So I jumped into teaching, and that's where I am now. Yeah, man. So no, to answer your question, I never really wanted to be a teacher. Mainly because there's so many teachers in my family at the moment. I could probably name about 15, 16 teachers within my family. Yeah, man. Yeah, so I just wanted to be different. But yeah, God had other plans, man. God had other plans, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then you met this guy, eh?
No way. You say you want to get to bird.
So with teaching, I guess you've been teaching for how long now?
9 years this year, man. Yeah, 9 years.
9 years. What's like a highlight or something like, I guess, a lesson? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of lessons you gain from teaching, but what is something that you've taken away from your 9 years so far that you've learned? What is like something that stood out to you, or some key event or a lesson that you've experienced in your time of teaching?
Yeah. It's actually something that I learnt from one of my mentors within my first year of teaching that's still so valuable even towards today. And I think Chris can sort of attest to this as well, is your rapport with your kids. How you get along with your kids, how you sort of support them and whatnot is a lot more important than the content that you teach. And I know that's hard to say as a teacher, because obviously we preach education. And it's important, 100%, don't get me wrong. But you're not going to be able to teach the kids as well if you don't have that rapport with them, first and foremost. So to be able to build that rapport with your kids is so important, because it's actually allowed me to be a teacher 9 years on and still love the job, obviously. Throughout my schooling, kids give me crap all the time, all of that stuff, give me tough times, they sit there and they don't like me, and that's okay, but it's the relationship that I've been able to build with them over the years that allows them to still sort of have a level of respect for me, because they know that I care, but they also know that I'm doing my job too, so yeah, one of the biggest lessons for me as a teacher is build that relationship, build that rapport with the kids, because that will last longer in teaching than if you're just going there to teach content. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think, right, like in school, like, I had my mates there and all that. Then also having, Jordan. I was going to say Mr. Maua, but just having that connection with me and him, it was like, so me, like no older brother, I didn't have any older siblings. I had like an older brother sibling, but also there's that boundary of, he's still my teacher. So I still have the respect. And I can joke around with him, and I was joking around with him at school, but he'll still pull me up if I do something wrong. And so like in my head I was like, shucks, I swear we're like this, but he's like got detention. I think for me, especially growing up, there was a few teachers I didn't get along with, like I didn't like.
Yeah. We won't name any names.
Oh no, we don't. But but Maua and like Namkandre, they were like the ones that really had that brotherhood connection with us boys. But yeah, also having that connection, also having that boundary that they're still our teacher.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. Because I know, like, when I was growing up in that same school, I left in year 10, but yeah, it was similar, like, the environment where they just build connection, and it's more than just like teaching. It's more like, building that relationship in a more of a supporting way, like, because like, I think during that time when I was in that school, there was a lot of kids going through like trauma, a lot of kids that's going through like, they're like in the low class kind of society. I'm not trying to put it down. It's just that's the way it was in that,
that's right.
in that aspect around that area. And I was part of that community as well, where we just grew up in like housing and struggles, and people were just trying to survive. And so to come to a school where teachers genuinely care and generally want to understand what your situation is, like, oh man, like there's people who are just not here telling me off. They're like genuinely care about me. And when they do tell me off, it's out of love. It's not like because they're trying to like see me fall. It's like more to uplift me, encourage me, and they see better in me. They want me to pursue better. And so like, that's a powerful lesson that you've shared, and that is it's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure there's some lowlights. I don't know if you want to mention them, but I guess in every teaching aspect, there's some lowlights as well. But I guess what is something that you it doesn't have to be like a situation. It could be just something you've learned that you didn't really like in your education kind of career of teaching.
Yeah, it's the it's dealing with the parents that believe their kid over you. And I'm all for trusting in your kids. I'm all for that, and that's obviously what parents do a lot of, because we just love our kids. We want to make sure that they have the best life. But it's always difficult for a parent to sit there and say to their kids, look, I'm sorry, you're in the wrong, okay? And I see where the school is coming from. It's always been a bit of a struggle working through that with families. And it does make me quite sort of sick in the stomach whenever I have to deal with those incidences, because it just makes it so much more harder. Because if the parents aren't supporting us as a school, but yet not sort of holding their kids accountable, it sort of makes life so much more difficult for us. So that's always been a big low light for me, and something that I've always struggled with dealing with. I deal with it because it's my job, and I have to, and sort of, I just work through it. But it's always real difficult, because you obviously have the parents start to, dislike me because they feel as though I'm targeting their kids. When it's never the case, like I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm going to get this kid, like it's never the go. It's just, I've got to do my job. Our school has a certain level of expectation, and I've got to uphold that, and so that's always the biggest low light. The other low light is the paperwork as well. It takes a lot from teaching, man. Like, big killer paperwork, but you get through it because it's the love for the job. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think we've been in a similar experience. I think we were like pathfinders. Like, we're not teachers, but we kind of like teach like some of the kids at church. And then when like the parents like say something and we're like, I don't know, like this, they kind of look down on us as well because we're young. And we're like, you don't know what you're doing. And then like, we get in trouble. But I don't know, you probably next scale, like you guys, and like experiencing that kind of hardship. Yeah, that is pretty difficult. Because parents do like, I guess, we'll leave it there, right?
So, what's your role in the school? Do you have are you head of any department, or like what subjects are you teaching?
Yeah. So my job at the school, my role at the school is I'm the wellbeing coordinator. So all that means is that I look after both the discipline aspect of school, and I also look after the sort of the wellbeing of the kids and support the kids in that way. Then to the other half of that question, the subjects I teach, I'm a PE teacher, and I also look after the wellbeing program there called Invictus. So I teach a lot of that as well. Yeah, they're my two main subjects that I teach at school. If I ever teach any other subjects, well, I've taught a couple others over the years. I've taught Bible, I've taught maths. It's pretty much it. so far that I've taught. So, yeah, bit of a all over the place, but it's yeah.
So I don't know about like you, but PE really ties in with this guy, bro. This guy's a freak at like basketball and
Yo.
rugby.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm better than him, but I just a little bit.
Well, I can tell if you guys don't know, we're in the gym right now.
Yeah.
Like, look around, man. There's everything here.
So did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I played a number of different sports growing up. So when I was 5 years old, I started playing indoor soccer. Yeah, I mainly just played because my cousins were playing. So we put in a team, and from 5 to 10, I was playing indoor soccer. When I hit high school, I was up at Avondale, and I jumped into basketball. You know, so that's when I actually started playing basketball. Was when I was in year 7, and from about year 7 to roughly about year 10. It was basketball. It was all basketball because that was what we loved up at school, you know. Then from roughly about year 10 to, how old was I? I would have been probably about 2014. How long ago is that? That's 10 years ago. So I would have been roughly about 2021. I was rugby league. Yeah, it was rugby league. So we went through different phases within my life with sports. So yeah, those were the big sports that I sort of put a lot of time and effort into when I was playing. Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing it as well.
So, rugby?
Yeah, rugby. But first, I just want to say apologize for the Knights not making it. Yeah, they had a good run. They had a good run, but
Broncos? No, sorry. They didn't make it?
we weren't even in the top eight.
I went for Bulldogs, so they just lost last week, right?
Yeah.
So none of our teams are in the finals.
That's all right, boys. We can cry together.
But what team are you going in the finals? Like, what team are you looking forward to, like, winning?
I'd love to see Penrith go 4 in a row. No team's done it before. So I'd love to be a part of the sort of history and be able to say I saw that happen, you know. I'd love to see them do that, you know, because being able to do that and losing key players every single year, it's phenomenal, man. It's phenomenal. So yeah.
Basketball. What's your team in basketball?
I'm a Lakers supporter.
Lakers?
Yeah, Lakers, man. My whole family's Lakers. So it sort of was just a given with me growing up in it all. So just jumped on the bandwagon when I was younger.
Is it because of the player, Kobe?
It was because of Kobe. Yeah. We all loved Kobe back then, and obviously we sort of just stuck with it till today. And yeah, so yeah, Lakers, man. Yeah, big fan of them. Yeah.
I guess regarding life, what is a lesson I'm pretty sure, as again, there's a lot of lessons you can learn, but life-wise, in sports, what is like a life lesson that you've, I guess, taken from your time in sports and as a PE teacher still?
Yep.
What is like physical fitness, maybe exercising or dieting? I don't know what it is, but what is a lesson like in life you can kind of use to apply with the sports that you've experienced or you've been through?
Yeah, that's a good question, eh? I think one of the biggest questions I could definitely, one of the biggest lessons I could pull away from them is what I love about sports is that there's a referee within every sport, right? And so the referee conducts the game. And so we just play, you know, and so we've got to understand that there's certain boundaries that we can't cross, and then the referee actually holds us accountable to that. And it's just like life, you know. We go through life, we go ahead and we do what we do within life, and then there's certain boundaries that we cross within life, and we've got to understand that if we go too far in one area, that there's going to be a consequence for that, you know. And so one line I love to use with that aspect is, for every action in life there's a reaction, you know. And so being able to have that referee there, it just allows you to understand that, you know, go do your thing and do what you can, but if you cross a boundary, you're going to have a reaction to the action that you've put forward, you know. So yeah, probably a big one from sports that you learn quite a lot of, as I'm sure we're all aware of. Whenever we watch our teams play, we're like, oh man, that's not right, man. But that's what the ref does, you know, just holds it accountable, keeps everything flowing, and yeah, that's probably one of the bigger takeaways that I love from sports. Yeah.
That's a powerful lesson. With that ref, wow.
Yeah.
But there's some refs who are a bit like.
Bit dodgy.
No, respect to you, yeah, respect to the ref. I know this guy loves that ref, say, when we play basketball.
Love the ref.
Oh, that's a powerful lesson. Thank you for sharing, brother. So true. You could say like life, I would say it's a game, but life is like kind of like a sport, like, you know, kind of like a game. And as you just said, like, you know, that's powerful. Like there's a reaction to everything that we do, every action that we take, every decision that we make, and yeah, definitely we'll have the consequences, whether they're good or bad. There'll be consequences.
Yeah,
at the end.
that's exactly right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we can just get like a background on like your bringing up, on how you were brought up.
Yep.
Just how many siblings you have, your parents, and just maybe what effect they had on you as a person or who you become now.
Yeah. So I've got a family. I've got 9 younger siblings. Yeah, 9 younger, 2 separate families. Yeah, 9 younger siblings. I've got 5 in Melbourne, and I've got 4. Got 2 up in Newcastle and 2 in Canada. Yeah, so 2 separate families. One's my mum's side and mum's kids, and the other side is my biological father's kids. So 9 of them. Yeah, man, big family. Yeah, big family. So, and I'm the eldest of all of them. Yeah. So,
But you look young.
yeah, I like to think so. So 9 siblings. And then, so the other half of the question was just how did sort of my mum and dad shape me as I grew up and to today? Yeah, man. My mum and dad were huge, you know, huge for me as well. And I won't just sort of limit it to my mum and dad. I'll limit it to, you know, that saying, it takes a village, you know. I'll limit it to, I'll put it out to my village, man. If it wasn't for a lot of them, I definitely wouldn't be here where I am today, you know. And, you know, just down to to all the little things that they sort of copped from me when I was younger, you know, thinking I knew it all when I was younger, and being real rude when I was younger, and sort of up myself when I was younger. You know, to be able to sit there and take it, and then to constantly just be there to support me and mentor me. Because, you know, obviously we've all been through sort of tough times within our lives and all of that. And throughout high school was probably my hardest slog within my life, because obviously I'm a youngster, I'm growing up, I think I know it all. You know, obviously a couple of times there, I actually nearly got expelled from my school when I was younger as well, just because I thought I was a hero, you know, back then, to be completely honest, you know. And so to be able to have people to fall back onto, and to just really try and teach me about certain different aspects of life, was phenomenal to sort of really keep me on the pathway, you know. I look at my mum, she copped a lot from me. My stepfather, you know, he was my stepfather at the time, but he's my father, you know, regardless of all of the titles and everything. And sort of what he taught me within life was just invaluable, because I'm not his blood, you know, but I am at the same time. That's how he took me on. And so to be able to take me on board, to be able to discipline me, to be able to hold me accountable, that was phenomenal. But then I also look at all my grandparents as well. You know, what my grandparents have done for me, you know, being able to, you know, school holidays and whatnot, I would always go down to my grandparents' house. And they live on nice, large lot of land, and they just put me to work. But they'd pay me for it too, you know. So, you know, my grandfather would always sit there and he'd look at my age and he'd do his research and go, all right, you're 16, your hourly rate normally is about $20. So you get $20 an hour, and he just let me work, you know. I'd pick my own hours to work, you know. So I'd work throughout the day, then just kick back at night. And, you know, for me, I look back at all of that now, that taught me a lot of things. It taught me my work ethic, how to build on my work ethic. It taught me sort of how to be a little bit more financially smarter, about being able to pick my hours, being able to work to those. It taught me that, I had to work for things within life. It wasn't just going to come to me. So I look at a lot of the people within my village and what they've done for me to create me who I am today. I 100% wouldn't be here without them. If they had let me go when I was in high school, I would have been walking a very different pathway right now. Very different pathway. Especially if I did get expelled from my school, I would have been at another school, So I owe a lot to what my family taught me when I was younger, and the fact that I think the biggest point for my family is they just never gave up on me, no matter how much I annoyed them, made them angry, frustrated them, no matter how much money I cost them. They just never gave up on me, and that's something that I think is real invaluable, because when things get tough, we give up after some time, and it's probably my biggest thing, from that I look back on and growing up. Yeah.
Wow. Takes a village, man. It takes a village. And I think that really shows, like, in your where you for, I guess, in your teaching career, as you were explaining earlier. Like, you really want to build that connection and relationship with your kids, with the students, and kind of help them in their struggles and situations. Not only just give them the book and but like really be intentional about your relationship. And I think that shows. And thank you for sharing that. That's pretty powerful, man.
And another question. For those who don't know, your pastor's kid.
Yes.
So you're PK.
PK, man.
PK. So how was life growing up as a PK?
It was interesting at first, because it was funny, because I actually didn't even know what a PK was at first.
Isn't that chewing gum?
Yeah, but that's what I thought. One of my aunties goes to me, she goes, "Oh, George, you're going to be a PK now." I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Oh, pastor's kid." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I actually had no idea what a pastor's kid was back in the day, and so there was a lot of pressure at first, to be completely honest. But the hardest thing about it all was that it wasn't pressure from everyone; it was pressure from people within the church, because they're the only people that actually label you as a pastor's kid. It's no one in the world that doesn't go to church doesn't label you as a pastor's kid. They just look at you as, oh, your dad's a pastor and you're his child. But it's actually the people within the church that label you that, So it was sort of tough going through it at first, but I love my dad. My dad and my mum were very open, from the very start about everything, man. Everything. Like, it was amazing. And I remember when Dad decided to go study theology, he sat me and my brother down at the time. I think I was about 14 at the time, and he said to us, he goes, "Look, I'm going to be studying to become a pastor." He goes, "And unfortunately, there's going to come a lot of baggage with that is going to get pushed onto you guys." He goes, we're going to be looked over with a microscope, all of that type stuff. But what I love the most about my dad is what he said next. He goes, "But I don't want you to walk around like you're the kingpin. I don't want you to walk around thinking because you're a pastor's kid that you can do whatever you want, whatever you like, or have that pressure on you guys. I just want you to go out there and I want you to be you." Okay? Because, the biggest point to it all was that I didn't choose for my father to become a pastor. That was his choice it wasn't his choice, it was his calling from God to go ahead and do that. And so he just said, because it's my calling, I don't want you to feel that pressure. I want you to go out and I want you to do you as well. So that was real comforting to know that my dad had said that, because I know a lot of pastors' kids that have that pressure on them because their dad needs to be, or their parent needs to be seen like this as a pastor, and so they've got to uphold that as well. But I sit there a lot of the time and I just go, man, it wasn't my choice. It was my father's choice. I'm going to go out, I'm going to do life, I want to be me. And so I've sort of just lived that since the start, really. But, it was tough at first because a lot of people sort of had this high expectation of me because I'm a pastor's kid. I'm going to run Sabbath school, or because I'm a pastor's kid, I'm going to get involved in ADRA, or I'm a pastor's kid, I'm going to be doing all of this stuff. And I'm just like, I never actually did that. I always went against it. And I think I went against it knowing that people would get upset at me because I am a pastor's kid. And I was like, nah, I'm going to show these people. But after a while, till today, I just do me, because like I stated before, it was my dad's calling, not mine. And so I've got no expectations to live up to as a pastor's kid, So yeah, it's probably one of
That's cool, man. Because I know, like, same here, like, I guess expectations of other people can really, like, we're not here to please other people or to make them happy. And I guess, coming from a church as well, like, I think it's just that stigma of like, or stereotype, like, you should be better, or you should be, like, perfect, and I guess they come to church with the wrong mindset, like looking and judging, when God said, look at the log in your own eye. And I guess that pressure I'm not a pastor's kid, but I know of pastor's kids who go through similar stuff like this. It makes it hard on the family, and not only on and that's so encouraging to hear that your dad told you, like, this is his calling, so don't burden yourself. Like, it's not about you. It's about what he wanted to do, and as you said, God's calling on his life. And so that's a big encouragement to hear, and to live up with. But thank you for sharing that. That's pretty powerful to hear. You have another question?
I know, like you said, you don't care what people think about you being a PK, but do you think people treated you differently just because you're pastor's kid?
Yeah, at the start, a lot of people treated me differently. A lot of people started to hold me to this expectation, this high expectation because I was a pastor's kid. There were also people that used to suck up to me as well, because my dad was the pastor. They used to try and do all these little things for me. They, used to try and look after me and all that stuff. And thank you, bro. And so people did start to treat me a little bit differently. But I didn't really pay too much attention to all of that stuff because I had the backing of my dad, had the support of my parents the whole way, which was my biggest anchor. To be able to bring me back if I ever did start to drift away and start to get sucked into that, that listening to people and the expectation that they had, it would just hold me firm and then draw me back as well. So, but no, they did. Yeah, people did treat me different from both ends, both ends of the spectrum when it came to being a pastor's kid. Yeah.
I think for us, we get a lot of pastors coming here and there in our church specifically. To be honest, I didn't see them as a PK. It's like, it is what it is. Sometimes I treat them a bit like my little siblings, and then I'm like, in my head I was like, oh shucks, I forgot this thing. But I think just that like what Peter said, that stigma of people having that ideology of you being PK, you have to be up here. And, we won't do anything to hurt you or like to make you angry. We put you on this pedestal where you're above all of us. But I think really it just should be, we're all the same. Doesn't, our parents, the occupation don't determine what we are or what title we go by. But
you are your own person. And I think going back to like the pastoral, being a part of a pastor's family, because I know like many pastors, they spend a lot of time away from family. They're in the ministry, they're doing visitations, they're preaching, they're dealing with people's problems. And so, like, growing up, was that the case for you and the family? Like with your dad being a pastor, always being away from home, was that ever like a problem or issue for yourself?
No. To be fair, no. He always made time for family because one of the biggest things that he always taught us was that we've got to figure out what's important for us in life, and we've got to make time for that. And he goes, obviously you've got to pick 3 things that are real important within your life and make time for it. So for him at the time, it was his studies, it was our family, and it was the church. the church that we were part of at the time, which was Toronto Church. And so he always made time for those three things. We knew throughout the day when I was at school, and probably roughly till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, he'd be at college in the library doing his studies. We knew that, he'd come back and he'd spend time with us, and then roughly about 8 o'clock at night, after dinner, after my younger siblings had been put to bed, and also just me and my other brother, before we went to bed, we knew Dad was going to go to the kitchen table and study. So we knew on Saturdays we had to be up ready to go to church, because Dad liked to be, I don't know how many islanders out there are like this, but there was an island time for him. It was he was on time, and if we had to be there at 7, he was there at 6:30. So we knew we had to be up and ready to go to get to church, and for him and whatnot. So he put a lot of time and effort into those things. He back then when he was first the pastor, he didn't really get all these gigs to talk in places and whatnot. It's actually pretty funny that the most I feel as though he's been asked to preach away from home has actually been within the last 2 years since he moved to Canada. He's had more speaking appointments here in Australia than when he lived here. Yeah, that's right. So it's been crazy. 100%. He's a big fancy guy now. But so for Dad, no, he was, and the good thing about Dad as well is he's young. My dad's only 15 years older than me. So he's young, and I think that young sort of mentality in him as well, and also my mum, kept him grounded and kept him really focused on those 3 areas, so that's, hold a big ups to my dad for that, and always making time for that, because he was always there. He was never absent or anything like that. It was something that, he got speaking appointments, but it wasn't, a massive absence without having him around, Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. In regards to that also, like, spiritually wise, did you find it like off-putting in a way with your own spiritual journey? Like that, as you said, that pressure in church and stuff. Did you like kind of find a disregard for church, or like disregard for spiritual things, or incline because of that status that people put on you? Was it like, oh, no, I don't want to know about this God, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that because of so-and-so and this stigma or whatever? Did that kind of put you off your own spiritual journey? Or?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it definitely did. I felt a lot of pressure from Dad being a pastor that, I had to know every book of the Bible. I had to know my Bible verses back to front. I had to be the one answering all the questions in Sabbath school. I did feel a lot of pressure from it. And it was actually back then when I was really battling with the Sabbath as well. Funnily enough, I went back when I started playing rugby league was back then, and my very first game I ever played was on Sabbath, Saturday, 1:00 p.m. in the afternoon. And funnily enough, my first ever game was 10 minutes. No, not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes from my church. Yeah, 5 minutes from my church, man, and so I remember my first game, none of my family members were there, because my dad was at church, doing the AWISE program and all of that. And, so that was always tough to work through, back then. And it really did sort of start to push me away from the church, because I was just like, man, like it's a tough thing to work through. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, my dad loves church more than he loves me. And, in a way, I think my dad was real stuck in that hardcore mindset that, back then, I think he was only his first year into theology. So he was like, if people see this, that my son's doing this, they might view me a little bit differently. So, my dad went through a couple of battles with that as well. But praise God, man, the head pastor at the time, still remember him, Aaron Jeffries. He went there and he spoke with my dad because he found out I was playing footy. And he said to my dad, he goes, you know what? You need to go to his next game. He goes, don't worry about church. you know, you need to be there for your son and for your family. And, you know, he shared a story of how he didn't support his family due to the Sabbath, and it burned a relationship with him and his son. And so I was, you know, I was real grateful for that at the time as well. And so that was a big thing for me, you know. So, yeah, in a way it did, at times it did deter me from, you know, my spirituality and all of that. Really had to fight those battles because, you know, I was playing footy and, you know, I was getting good at it, you know. Like I started to get to a stage of, you know, I was making money from it. You know, I finally cracked like my first sort of rep team in a way as well, but they were always playing on Saturdays, you know, so it was always something that I was real worried about. I couldn't post about it on social media because my dad was like, you know, don't post it, you know, and all of that. So it was, yeah, big battle for me. So yeah, definitely played with my head and definitely played with the way that I viewed my spirituality anyway. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, brother.
Yeah, no, it seems so. Yeah, I think we all know someone that's probably dealing with that at this moment.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's just good to hear that, you know, your dad.
Oh, oh yeah, okay.
You know the guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, I won't say. I won't say his name.
Well, hopefully it encourages him.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's good saying that, like, you know, even though you were playing on Sabbath, that, you know, your dad still came and supported you, even though he didn't like what you were doing. But I think it's just that, you know, that love that your parents has for you. I think one question was bugging me is, I know you, like, PK, you don't care, whatever, but and people treated you differently, but was it hard for you to find, like, a girlfriend or like a wife? Was it hard? Or like, could you probably think girls like, oh, pass this kid on, I don't even know about this guy. Like, was it hard for you to find someone to, yeah?
Like, no, it wasn't, because what I really liked about my wife, because I actually met her at that same church. You know, that's when we first originally met one another, and we were the only two Islander families at the church. So normally we just sort of came together and just started talking and everything like that, our families, and that's where I originally met her. But yeah, no, not necessarily, because I guess in a way, if I look back at it now, a lot of the girls I did date when I was younger weren't necessarily part of the church. So it was never really an issue because of the fact, like, they sort of just didn't know. You know, they knew I attended church, they knew my dad was a pastor, but like I said sort of before, is sort of really the church people that label you as a pastor's kid, you know, so it was never really a big issue because of it. But there were obviously other issues that came from that, because obviously dating someone that sort of wasn't a part of sort of Christianity or didn't understand Seventh-day Adventism, obviously there were a lot of clashes there, you know, and those were other battles that I had to go through at the time as well. And you know, I'm sort of really just glad that God put my wife in my life, you know, someone that understands the culture that I'm in just as much as me, and somebody that understands my religion, and because it's her religion as well, you know, so it definitely made the transition into dating a whole heap easier. But I guess in a way too, it's sort of, she never took it this way, but to her family, because she's obviously Pacifica, Samoan, and we know how much Samoans actually sort of hold their pastors within their lives, you know. We know how high they hold them, and so to her family it was a real positive thing, you know, that she was dating a pastor's kid, you know. So yeah, that had a lot of pressures that came with it too. But yeah, so to answer your question, yeah.
I guess because we're single, so like, I'll be honest, we're single, right?
Yeah.
So what are some advice you would give to us being single, like from your experience and like relationships and now being married and having kids of your own, would you give to like young men?
Okay. That's a good question, man. Shucks. Okay, I think I've got two big pieces of information. Oh, let's go three. I've got three big pieces of information. The first one is you got to learn to love yourself first. Okay, and what I mean by that is that I've just seen so many people go into relationships because they don't know who they are. They don't know, they don't love themselves. They just want to feel loved by other people. And so they get into relationships, and those are obviously the relationships that do come crashing and burning, you know, or they're the relationships where people actually start to be sort of used in, you know, and they're also the relationships where you do start to see a lot of sort of abuse, you know, whether it's physical, verbal, mental, emotional, all that type of stuff. So if you don't learn to love yourself, okay, that should be the first and foremost thing, okay, for you to do. The second thing is be confident. You know, be confident, because, you know, and I can only speak to this from a male's perspective, is your female counterparts do love confidence. You know, not confidence to the point where you're cocky. You know, that sort of pushes them away. But be confident in who you are, and then, you know, being confident in the way that you communicate with them as well. Definitely does go a long way. The third one is, you know, we all would love to marry the perfect woman one day, and whoever your future wife is, you know, will be perfect to you in every way. But the difficult thing is we have so many sort of areas that we want them to be perfect in. You know, we want them to be tall, we want them to be respectful, we want them to be, you know, good worker, we want them to be this, that. So the biggest thing there is pick three things that matter the most to you. Okay, pick three things that matter the most to you, and make sure that your future wife has that. If she has those three, everything else won't bother you. Okay, so for example, for me, my three are, they've got to be respectful. They've got to be a family person as well, because obviously me and my family, we get along really well, and they've got to be bold. You know, because for me, I'm somebody that I talk a lot. You know, if you boys haven't already figured that out, I talk a lot, and so when I do talk, I need somebody to sort of keep me humble when I talk as well. And so I needed that in my wife, I need that in my wife, I should say. And so I've got those three things, and so those three things my wife has. You know, and you know, I wish I could add another 10 things onto it, but it's too difficult to find someone with all of those things. You know, and so just three things. Just pick three things that you want to hold true to yourself, you know, or you want in your future wife, that you really want as a big part of your life, and everything else will really start to flow from it. Yeah. Oh, and my last other one, so 4 points, communication, man. Communication is a big one, and it's something that we struggle with as a generation these days, because we're so technologically focused. You know, we're so focused on communicating via text message, so focused on communicating on social media, that we don't actually build the skills to communicate face to face. And it comes as a big impact in many different ways, you know, is when you experience a relationship, you experience arguments, you know, and you've got to learn how to communicate. Because if you don't know how to communicate face to face, you're not going to be able to deal with emotions, or you're not going to be able to understand the emotions. You know, you're not going to understand how to listen to how they're feeling. There's so much there with the communication aspect that, you know, even me, I'm, you know, 7 years into my marriage and been dating my wife for 15 years now. Communication is still a big thing for us that, you know, we do struggle with as well, you know. So yeah, those will be some 4 big pointers there to definitely
that was confident in yourself. What was the second one, Chris? Confident in yourself.
Confidence.
Love yourself. Yeah.
Pick 3 things.
3 things.
Yeah, you want to know.
3 things you want to know.
And communication.
What was the 4th one?
Communication.
What's the 3rd one?
Oh, we said it. Three things you don't want in a wife. Confidence in yourself, and yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So now you can find a wife. That's That's awesome, man.
Put me on the spot, eh?
I guess spiritually wise, like in your journey with Christ, how's that like? How's that been for you? Like in, I guess this day and age, being a husband and a father, and a teacher, like all these things going on. How has it been in this generation, 2024? All this technology, everything that's happening around us.
Yeah.
How is your journey like? I guess how's your journey like your walk with Christ in this day and age, like now?
It's been difficult, man. Yeah, it has been difficult because just like anything in your life, you've got to make time for it. And you've got to make time for it. You've got to work at it. Because we know God loves us. We know He's always going to be there. All we have to do is turn to Him and reach out to Him, and He'll be there. But we've still, to be able to strengthen that relationship with Him, we still got to work at it. Let me use a couple of different analogies. Your car that you drive, if you don't work on it or take it to the mechanics to sort of change and different parts of it and whatnot, it's going to break down. In the gym, I love the gym, as you guys can see, and for you to be able to get growth in the gym, you've got to work at it. If you stop it for so long, it actually starts to sort of go in the opposite direction. And so it's the exact same with a relationship with God that I've found. That it's something that you've got to make time for, and it's been difficult. In all honesty, it really has been, because and it's an excuse on my behalf, and it shouldn't be an excuse, but it's the difficulty of being able to juggle work, family, 2 kids, wife, and even making time for myself as well. And it's a battle. It really is. So it's something that I'm still very much working at till today. And I find that throughout the years, throughout each year, I'm always sort of on and off with my journey. It's still something that I work at, as much as I possibly can. But it's something that I've really got to be intentional with, and sort of not just sit there and go, oh yeah, I'll do this tomorrow, this time type thing. I've got to start to really be intentional about it. And I think one of the best ways I've found that works for me is waking up early in the morning to make that time, to get up at, 5:30 in the morning, because my alarm at the moment goes off at about 6:30, so if I wake up 5:30, I lay in bed 5:45, then get up and go do a bit of a study, and just read the Bible. But in the technological side of it all, it's a little bit easier, because I just turn to the Bible app. I just go through one of the plans there and just really build that way, So yeah, the spiritual journey has been a tough one. I've been bouncing all around, but definitely something that, I'm nowhere near perfect at. I'm nowhere near amazing at, I just, really trying to just work at it and just be a little bit better day after day, really. Yeah.
Well, I guess like you just speak to this quote that I had in mind about like the walk with Christianity. When I think of Christianity, like you just said it like directly there, is Christianity is not about perfection. Christianity is about progression.
Yeah.
And like I guess you've seen your own like life, and I know my own journey as well. Like as long as we're progressing, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And as you said, we're not perfect. None of us here are perfect.
Yeah.
We never will be perfect. But I guess as long as we're progressing, as you said, the gym, as long as we hit the gym, you keep on going. If not, you stop. It's a disservice, and like you start like putting I missed gym this week, so I can feel it already. But like that's so true, man. It's a powerful testament of like what it means to be a Christian and have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection. It's never been about perfection.
That's right. Yeah.
It's all about how much you progress in your journey with Christ.
Yeah.
Am I the same today as I was yesterday, or am I better than I was? And yeah, just reflecting on that. So thank you for sharing that, brother. That's powerful.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much. I could squeeze out. That's all I
And your
could squeeze out.
interrogation?
Yeah, but yeah, I think if you don't have anything else,
No, that's very much you.
I think the last thing is where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years,
Alright.
spiritually or like family? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
And do you have any encouraging words for our viewers today?
Yeah.
Yeah, so next 5 to 10 years, I think it's more, obviously as I said before, I've got 2 kids, daughter, nearly 4, son that just turned 4 months. But I think within the next 10 years, it'll just be really trying to support them and grow them, as well as my wife as well. It's going to obviously be a big focus for us. We've been thrown about a bit of a move up to Queensland, probably within the next 5 years or so. So we'll see what happens if we act on that. But we're quite keen to move up to Queensland as well, and continue to do teaching up there. I haven't really said this to many people as well, but I've always been keen. Obviously at the moment in my teaching career, I'm a wellbeing coordinator. So I'd love to actually, take a step up if possible, and the opportunity to be a head of secondary as well. I think that'll be an awesome opportunity to have a go at, and really try and just bless the school community as much as I possibly can, if I can. So yeah, that's definitely, the direction and the journey that we want to go in. Spiritually, I think for us, we're really trying to work our way back into church. It's not that we just haven't been at church, it's just that, or not keen on church, it's just that throughout the school week, we drop my daughter off to daycare at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we don't pick her up to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I like to try and use Saturdays just to hang out with my kids, and I know I can do that at church, but I just find that, being able to do it here at home, or whether we go out on a Saturday or something like that. So for me, I'd love to get a little bit more involved in church over the next 5 to 10 years, however I possibly can. So that's really, where we'd love to go over the next 5 to 10 years. Man, some stuff for your supporters. What is it? A line for your supporters, or encouraging words? Man, encouraging words. Man, get behind the brethren, man. Get behind these boys, because they're doing an awesome thing. I'm so proud of you both. Obviously, Chris, I've known you for a long time. Peter, I've known you for a little bit as well. I got to know your siblings a little bit as well, and so just to see you boys do your thing, and do your thing for God as well, and just being able to do this, man. This is so cool, man. I'm blessed and honored to be a part of it, boys. So supporters, man, get behind it. What are all these things? Like, subscribe, love hearts, share, all of that. Send it to somebody else. Do that, man, because these boys, man, they're on a journey, and let's just get behind them. It's going to be mad to see your boys' growth moving forward from here. So, boys, man, just really proud of you both and what you're doing. And, I hope you boys are able just to reach as many different people, and, just be able to bring as many people to Christ as you possibly can, boys. So, big ups to you boys, man. Big ups to you boys.
You Queensland or New South Wales?
Man, I'm New South Wales, man. So
just stay here in New South Wales. We don't want to see you leave. Thank you for sharing, man. That's powerful. And,
See. I think we've got nothing else to ask. I think we'll wrap it up with a word of prayer, and I'll close it up with a word of prayer. Dear Father, Lord, thank you for this wonderful night you've given us, Lord, thank you for my brothers Peter and Jordan, Lord, that we were able to come together and just be real with each other and just talk about life in general, Lord. Lord, I thank you for our guest, Jordan, that he opened up his house to us to be able to ask him questions and learn more about him and his journey. Lord, please bless him and his family, Lord. Lord, I also ask you just be with our viewers as well that are watching, Lord. May they learn something from this Real Talk episode, Lord. Also be with my brother Peter, Lord. Please guide us and bless us, and with whatever future endeavors we have planned, Lord, may you just put your guiding hand upon it, and guide us and bless us. And we thank you for everything you've done for us. In your hand I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Seki.
Yo,
So,
boys.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
Alright, guys, thanks for watching. That was another episode of Real Talk on the Brethren channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Also head over to our TikTok. Give that a follow, and also our Instagram page. Give that a follow as well. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Brethren channel.